Everybody, it's Stacy Sobel with Salon Today, and today I'm with Tatum Neill with Elevate Hair, and you are the creative director at Neill Corp and the creator of Elevate Hair, which is, as you've described it to me in the past, kind of a combination of music fest and hair show. But let's
Yeah.
talk about like why you saw the need for this hair show and a kind of a community hair show and how it started.
It really started just me looking across the street at a salon that I see their stylist, I see their clients, but I'd never set foot into that salon, and I'd been living in New York for a while as working as a platform artist, doing hair shows, doing education. And I kind of missed that world of connecting with other people, doing education. But I had this sort of this instinct to sort of bring in people outside of my own bubble, outside of my own world, and share and collaborate on sort of an educational journey. And so I went next door to the salon, invited them over, and we, the next week, brought some models in and we did our first Elevate. There was maybe like 6 people there. But it felt good. It felt good to connect with someone else, to see another perspective, and to be building, effectively a community in New Orleans. One day, after we'd done like a couple of them, and they were still very small and so on. I had just recorded a DJ set of mine, and I hadn't heard it yet. And so, because there were so few people there, I felt that it was okay. And I asked for the audience, "Is this cool? Can we just play this mix, and then we'll do the education part afterwards?" And so we did, and it was the best demo I've ever done in my life. And I'd done hundreds and hundreds of demos before, but this one was different because I didn't have to talk. I could
Yeah.
actually just focus on the work. And I made some decisions halfway through the haircut as I'm just getting through this head of hair that I needed to make the haircut work. But had I said what I was going to do prior to that, I could have painted myself in a corner and would have been forced to sort of execute what I sort of committed to, or carefully navigated the pivot verbally to the audience. I didn't do any of that. I just did a great haircut. I was like, oh, maybe this is it. Maybe music and hair can work together in a new dynamic way. So fast forward to, this was maybe in the 14s, early 15s. My brother Edwin at Neill wanted to do some sort of educational activation in Houston, I believe. And so we were going to take this show on the road. But I forget the author. I listened to this author talk about millennials and what millennials sort of wanted. And what they want is their own sort of voice. They want to be able to express themselves. And so I was like, okay, is it right for me from New Orleans to go into Houston and say, hey, this is how hair should be, or this is what we think is cool? What if we asked Houston, what do you think is cool? What's interesting to you? And so that was sort of the catalyst for the broader concept, which is what it's evolved into. And that is, Elevate Hair is not my platform, it's your platform. I go to different communities, I give you that platform, I bring the DJ, and you, as whatever community we're talking about, whether it be New York City, Los Angeles, Denver, Chicago, we've been all over. Every place we show up, it is that community's platform, it's that community's expression. And I've tried to completely remove myself from the ego of the artistry, because it's not my work, it's their work. And to be honest, every city, to my surprise, has their own unique style and culture, and it shows up everywhere we go. And so that's really the purpose of Elevate, is to sort of give artists who would otherwise not have a physical platform a place to express themselves and to be their unique selves without any sort of impediment from education or brand responsibilities. Some people, if you hold up a particular bottle of shampoo or you've got a name of a shampoo company on your sign, well, other people who aren't attached to that brand aren't going to feel comfortable going.
Right.
And so we wanted to create a neutral brand, Elevate, where anyone can show up from any discipline, barber, styling, cutting, whatever. Any experience level. You could be right out of school. You can be doing hair for 20 years as a master stylist. And we have those sometimes on stage at the same time. And you could always obviously be your own unique self. And it's been really interesting to see how artists choose to express themselves, and they choose to style their models, and they choose to do their hair in ways that I wouldn't necessarily predict. And it's been really great because, the number one thing I hear from people, aside from thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, I mean, honestly, they wouldn't otherwise have. But I hear things like this community needed it.
Right.
And I heard that before the pandemic, and I still heard it after the pandemic. I think people want to come together. And the big picture purpose, which we may never achieve, but it's always in the back of my mind, is I really believe in the power of the hairdresser. I believe that the hairdresser is the most influential person in the entire world. And I say this pretty much every show. If we as a hairdresser community could come together globally, we could share a message with the entire world in just 6 to 8 weeks. Who
Wow.
else can do that? Doctors, lawyers, teachers. No one has this unique power that we have to really touch individuals and share a message like we do. And it's really powerful, but we will never be able to realize that power until we can come together and be a community. And so that's what Elevate Hair really is about coming together, being a community of creatives, and just dropping all the sort of drama and baggage that we might have being in our particular salons, being, this brand versus this brand. Let's just come together and be a hair community for just one night and just be hairdressers. And that's really the vibe of Elevate. And honestly, I couldn't have predicted how successful it would be. And each place we go is just special and unique. And seeing people, the passion they put into the work, their face light up when they're on stage, when they finish their work. It's really beautiful. And I wish I could do them everywhere all the time.
So you have one coming up in July. Talk about where that is and
Yeah.
people can catch you.
Yeah, we're going to be doing Nashville, which we've been heavily involved in that community. I feel like it's like our 10th show. I don't know that it is or not. We should probably do the math, but we're going to Nashville, July 23rd. That's going to be exciting. It's going to be the East Side Bowl, and I expect a huge turnout there. Probably at least 500 people. We'll have probably 30 artists on stage. Then we've got. I've been toying around with doing an Elevate for New York, and we will probably get there. But Fashion Week is happening like early September, and Aveda has offered me a spot on stage at their big hair show at Congress. And so there will be an Elevate Hair production at this big hair show in Minneapolis called Congress. Got some nice. I've got this background is actually kind of part of the vibe, so I can't really give too much away, but it's going to be a really amazing, almost like a theatrical performance. But I'm not going to talk too much about that. That's September, I think 23rd, and then October 2nd, we're going to go to San Antonio, and we're going to do another Elevate Hair there, and then we'll wrap up the year or start the new year in January at Serious Business for sort of our homecoming event, which is always wild and crazy. And we'll be at the Toulouse Theater. So that's all the next stuff happening. It's possible I can sneak into London during Salon International and do a show there. I'm trying to do that. So if anyone's seeing me in London, you've got a venue, please DM me. I would love to do something in London. So yeah, that's what we got going on.
So when you go into these communities, how do you identify the local artists that you want to bring into the show and be part of it?
I mean, it's very open. Like if you say I want to do the show, then you can do the show. We do have DJs on stage, so the only rule I have is no glitter. But other than that, you can do whatever you want. And so we put out a flyer digitally, people share it. And then we try to just, reach out to people who are influencers, people who, are work in salons. I really have been trying to plug into the barber community. The barber community is so amazing, and they're honestly a little bit more advanced, I'd say, than our hair community. I think the idea of the barber show or the barber competition is much more developed there. And so I love to get barbers in because they bring a whole video team, they've got a production, wardrobe, they've got a whole vibe. And I think our community needs to step up. So I try to reach out to them as well. And then I just let things happen. Sometimes people in the audience will literally just jump on stage and do hair. And we've had major NAHA winning artists who come in, they see something and they're like, you know what? Can I get on stage? And I'm like, here's some scissors, go for it. And it just happens. So it's very relaxed in that sense. But it's always fun and dynamic.
I would think that the way that you've organized these shows too, centered around music. For someone who's not been on stage before but thinks they want to try it, it's a little less intimidating than having to have like a show that you talk through the whole time.
Absolutely, absolutely. It allows for people who might not have that experience and the gift of God to still express themselves. And even for those people who are established, and this is what I hear all the time, especially for my haircutters, like people like Ricardo, Denise from Aveda, really loves it too. And that is, you speaking is another part of the brain, and like to really activate your creative self, you can't be distracted by other things. And so what happens with the music is you get to get into that sort of artistic flow state and create. And so from the audience perspective, you are seeing artistry at a level you literally can't see anywhere else. Even if you go to a big trade show, I promise you, just as I've experienced it, I can't get into my flow state when I'm in front of a bunch of people talking about stuff. I just can't. I'm doing another type of performance. It's something else. Elevate is true raw artistry, and you are seeing the best of your community perform at their highest level. And honestly, what's so great about it, why everyone, if you see one's coming to town, go. The show is dynamic and it only exists in that space and time. It can never be duplicated. It can't even be really explained.
Yeah.
It's always different. There's always something happening. Just because one track drops at this moment, it sends a different energy to the people on stage, to the audience. The audience reaction is also giving energy to the artist on stage. So it's this purely raw, organic moment, and it only exists there. So you have to come to experience it.
Well, Tatum, how do people get more information about it?
Yeah, real simple. Just go to @elevatehair.com. I'm sorry, @elevatehair on Instagram or elevatehair.com. Sorry, I just fused two worlds together. Definitely, we're present on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. We're also on TikTok. And if you're interested in doing a show, all you have to do is DM us and say, hey, we would like to do the show. I believe we have our next show pinned to the top of our Instagram. We are primarily on Instagram, but you can see us on every other platform we go to.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And we wish you a lot of success with these upcoming shows. And I can't wait to see what transpires.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And hopefully, Stacey, I get to see you at one of our shows.
I would love to. My daughter's in Nashville now, so that could happen. So
23rd, let's see you. Come on out.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Tatum. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.